Star Wars Galaxy's Edge is coming to the Disney parks. What is going on out there, world? It's your boy Tommy on the spot. Thanks so much for checking us out here today on Disney 101. On the other side of the world is my main man, Steve. Steve, how are you doing today?
Always a pleasure. Enjoying the nice warm weather down here. I know you are back in New York and not so good, but
Yeah, so I went. One of the reasons why we didn't have a show last week is because I was away down in Delray Beach for a bachelor party. And then Steve was nice enough to come pick me up, and we spent a couple days in Orlando. We're gonna get most of this episode this week will be about my trip to Disney World with Steve, some of the shenanigans that we did, and some of the different things that we did while we were down in Walt Disney World. But it was pretty crazy because for about 6 days, I was walking around in T-shirts and shorts, and I went to go see Met Spring Training, and that was I think like 91 degrees or something like that. So you picture I come off the plane, and I'm still in my shorts. I got just a hoodie on now, thinking like, hey, it's now must be a little warmer all over the place. And I got off the plane, and it was 20 degrees in New York City. A 70-degree drop from my time in Orlando as compared to New York. So it's been quite an adjustment.
I can imagine.
Yeah, it was brutal. But did you I had heard that Stella has graduated from her obedience class.
She did. You might still hear her barking anyway, because I know my wife is going to be home very soon. But yeah, she knows all of the tricks, whether or not she can perform them on command. Some of the other stuff we're still fine tuning, but that was the qualifications for graduating. So we're happy.
And for those who don't know, Stella is Steve's dog, who just got through obedience class, and there was a very cute photo of Stella in a graduation cap that Steve put up on his Instagram. But very proud of Stella. This must have happened like the day after I left.
It happened, yeah. It was on Wednesday, so it was that Wednesday.
Yeah, I left on Tuesday. It's been a crazy time period because I'm just kind of getting back settled in and then heading out tomorrow morning to the Poconos. So it's just a crazy period, but great to be back with you guys here on Disney 101. If you are not doing so already, make sure you follow us over on Twitter at Disney 101 Pod, and make sure you subscribe. We filmed a whole bunch of videos that'll be up here on our YouTube channel real soon, and keep your eyes peeled as we'll have a very special announcement real soon about a Disney 101 Instagram coming to your social media sites near you. But today, we're going to start things off. Not going to go too news heavy this week. But of course, one thing we do have to talk about is Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, and the big news that it's coming a lot sooner than we thought.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised, especially for Disneyland. Disneyland, the opening day is May 31st. And with Disney World following suit not too far behind, Walt Disney World is set to open on August 29th.
August 29th, damn, yeah, that is crazy. I was thinking, just my luck, they were going to announce that the Star Wars Galaxy's Edge was coming a lot sooner than we thought on Wednesday, March 6th, the day after I left.
Surprise!
That would have been really crazy. But that's nuts. I was not expecting that. It's one of these things where, certainly with so they'll have something to look forward to this summer, and specifically in Disneyland, Star Wars Galaxy's Edge will be out for the entire summer.
Yes. Now, with one small caveat, though, on opening day for Phase 1 at Disneyland, you'll be able to ride the Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run. You'll be able to sample amazing galactic food and beverages, exploring an intriguing collection of merchant shops and more. However, the Star Wars Rise of the Resistance attraction will be opening at a later date.
And is that the biggest attraction?
There's the two big attractions. I think now Star Wars Rise of the Resistance is supposed to be a little bit more interactive, and it's supposed to be a little bit longer, if I'm not mistaken. They've been really tight-lipped on both of these attractions, so we're not really quite sure what to expect. They've got some concept art and some small bits and pieces and some previews and trailers here or there, but we don't really know exactly what these attractions are going to look like. But it sounds like the Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run, based on everything that we've seen and heard, is gonna kind of be more Star Tours-y-ish, maybe. So I think Star Wars Rise of the Resistance is definitely going to be the bigger attraction.
Now, do you think that there is going to be a situation where Star Tours is also part of Star Wars Land?
I'm sure it. I'm sure it will be. It kind of has to be almost in a way because of at least it in Hollywood studios with the all the construction and everything. I think they're just going to incorporate that right into everything.
Oh wow! So that's going to be so they're going to have similarly, I guess, to how they did um, Toy Story because they had changed. It wasn't Toy
Yes.
Story Mania. It was something else. What was it?
Yeah.
It was like Midway Mania.
Well, so Toy Story Midway Mania, it used to be the entrance basically used to be on the other side, and then in renovating Toy Story Land and all that stuff, they basically just flipped where the entrance is so
Mm.
that you can still get the entrance into Toy Story Land instead of having to go to the other side.
Oh, very, very cool. That's that yeah, so I'm expecting that's what they're going to do. Now, what's going to be a real trip is I'm sure Walt Disney World is going to do extra magic hours mornings for both Star Wars Land and Toy Story Land, and that's going to just be mass chaos and confusion, I'm sure.
Well, so it does sound like Hollywood Studios is going to be open for extra magic hours, and Galaxy's Edge will be open for extra magic hours. Capacity is going to be limited, so it's going to sound like what happened when Avatar Land first opened up in Animal Kingdom, where they basically had to limit the amount of people that actually got into the area at a given time. And that's because, at least for Pandora, there's only one entrance in or out. So, in an unlikely event of some sort of emergency, you need to get everybody out as quickly and safely as possible. You only have the one entrance, so there's only so many people that you can fit through there. So, they're probably doing something similar for Galaxy's Edge, just because of logistically, if you just let it loose and let the floodgates open, then yeah, it would get really crowded really quickly. So hopefully that's a high enough number where they get enough people in there to experience everything, but low enough where it doesn't feel like the waves upon waves of humanity like everybody expects it to be.
And I'm sure it is. And there is no now. Obviously, the Star Wars hotel is still a ways away, right? Probably about a year or so.
Oh yeah, at least. Yeah, we haven't really heard too much about that either, but yeah, I'm sure it's ways away.
Yeah, I mean, the idea behind it is such a kind of a revolutionary concept that while you're there, you're basically there and you're expected to act as such. That I feel like there's going to be a situation where there is going to be a little bit, a lot of work that has to be done to get that up off the ground.
Oh yeah, and I mean, if Disney's first and foremost the immersive leader, so you're trying to get that immersion factor going. So you got to make sure that you're doing it right the first time and getting everything done 100%.
There you go. Well, I mean, it's something definitely to look forward to, specifically with a lot of different, tourist attractions, everything that's coming down there. Obviously, there was big news this week. I'm sure you know, and I'll quickly mention it, that WrestleMania is returning to Florida, obviously about an hour away from Orlando in Tampa. So there's going to be a lot of people in town for that. And I can tell you right now, there is a bit of a crossover between the wrestling population and the Disney population. So I would not be surprised to see wrestling fans flooding that area come April of 2020.
Oh yeah, I could definitely see it. Absolutely.
So they're going to have to figure out some way to. I mean, I worry. I feel like there's not too many other. There still won't be that many other things in Hollywood Studios other than Star Wars Land and Toy Story Land.
Well, you still, so it actually, Mickey's Runaway Train is also supposed to be opening relatively soon.
I think actually before that.
Hmm?
I think it might even be a little before Star Wars.
Could be, yeah. So, yeah, around that time. But then, you still have your fallbacks. You still have Rock and Roller Coaster. You still have Tower of Terror. I guess that's kind of it. Yeah, you have Indiana Jones. Yeah.
The Muppets.
So, yeah. So, but, as far as like the big rides. But on the other hand, that also frees it up for maybe Pandora might see our wait less than 2 hours for once. And,
right.
Maybe you'd be able to go into Magic Kingdom and do everything. It's still, I think it's going to free everything up a little bit more.
Yeah. And I mean, it's good. It's good they're getting this out there sort of before the big rush. I think originally we had heard it was supposed to be coming to at least Walt Disney World somewhere near November, which I think just would have been crazy to have it right there in the middle of some of the busier times of the year. So to have this out there at least allow some folks to come down in September and October and check it out before you get that rush for Halloween and the rush for the holidays.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so it's exciting. It's something that we'll continue to monitor and hopefully get down there soon enough to be able to try these attractions as they come abound. But definitely keep it locked here to Disney 101 as that comes, as it releases and everything that comes through. So it'll be good stuff. But moving along now, I was able to get down to Orlando. You saw there were some photos we put up on our Twitter. And Steve, what did you feel? How did you feel about the trip that we did this past weekend?
Aside from the 2.5 hour drive round trip,
I think you're selling yourself short. I think definitely on the way there, might have been doing it 2.5 hours. We were in that car for, we left around like maybe 9:30-ish, and we stopped for breakfast over at Cracker Barrel. Got to do the Cracker Barrel, especially coming from New York. Don't get Cracker Barrel up here, so we got to go to Cracker Barrel, and then didn't get back into town till like, I want to say like 2:30.
Yeah, well, between that and having to stop and all that stuff, but yeah, no.
It was a little crazy.
I think what as we kind of mentioned on earlier episode, you can go to Disney World and experience a lot of different stuff without even stepping foot in any of the theme parks, and I think we did a great job of doing that.
Absolutely. I mean, and there was so much that we did in the span of just 2 days, and really one of them starting, at 4 o'clock in the afternoon on the first day I was there. And that by the time I was gone after those 2 days, when I was on the plane coming back, I was bummed that I didn't get to do even more of the stuff. Like there was still more there that we weren't able to do. And this is not even including any of the theme parks. So I thought it was really cool. It was interesting to see, really fun to people watch. It was cool to kind of see, you could kind of tell which folks were staying on property by the way that they were going back and forth into their hotels, into their resorts, taking it easy, having a little more time to do so. That was one of the things I noticed right off the bat was, the folks that, particularly when we were at the Contemporary, and how many folks like at that point, which was probably around 8 o'clock-ish, maybe a little earlier, 7:30, how many folks at that point were heading to the parks to get their spots for different fireworks, and instead of just being there the whole day.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And there's also a good chance that those people had already been to the parks already. And because you're only a monorail right away, say, okay, we did all of these things early in the morning or afternoon that we wanted to do. Let's go back to our hotel, take a nap, or maybe lay out by the pool or something, and then hop back to, for fireworks or something.
Yeah. And I always feel like that's really the best way to do it. If you're going to do a day, the perfect ideal way to do a day at the Disney parks, in my opinion, is you get there for rope drop, you bang out your bigger rides first thing in the morning, because that's when it'll be a little less of crowds, especially in Disneyland. When I went to Disneyland, I feel like we had a lot. We were able to get most of the stuff done before 12 noon, 1 o'clock. And then you go back to your hotel, you hang out by the pool, you relax, you have a nice, easy stroll day. And then you go back at the end of the day when some of it started to thin out, and you can go either see your parades or your fireworks, and then kind of do those things from there.
Oh yeah, definitely. So do you want to go through our first our first day over at Walt Disney World?
Yeah, so our first day we went down, and you could correct me here if I'm wrong, but one of the first things I wanted to do, we do have a video coming of this, is checking out Guy Fieri's Chicken Guy. As a matter of fact, I was thinking about this. My diet on that Saturday consisted of going to Cracker Barrel and ordering chicken and breakfast, some sort of chicken, and I don't know what it was, like chicken and something that I had, but it was chicken tenders for breakfast. Then we went to Guy Fieri's Chicken Guy, and then we went to Rock and Brews at the end of the night, where I got boneless chicken wings. That was my entire diet for the day of my first day there on Sunday. So was probably a good idea that when Lent came rolling around, gave up some of those things for Lent. But it was great. I thought Guy Fieri's Chicken Guy was awesome, and we got to try different things. It was one of these things where the folks everything there is so inexpensive that, for me, it was like, hey, what am I going to get, fries or mac and cheese? I was like, screw it, I'll get them both, and I won't finish either one of them because it's too much food. But at the same time, it was one of these things where, it was only like $2-3 for an additional side.
Yeah, and I mean, one of the things that I actually really like about Chicken Guy, it's you're looking at it and go, okay, so you're getting chicken tenders one way or the other, either chicken tenders or grilled tenders, or you're getting a chicken sandwich that has grilled tenders or your standard fried chicken tenders, that kind of thing. And you're getting French fries as a side, unless you want to get mac and cheese or both, even.
Yeah.
And you're saying, okay, I could get this anywhere. I could go to McDonald's and get this. But what really sets it apart is, I think the flavoring on the fries, the seasoning it's really on point, and also the fun, innovative sauces. And we actually had a little bit of a discussion while we were there at Guy Fieri's store. For some reason, I kind of compared him, and I mean this not in an offensive way at all. I compared him to the Nickelback of chefs because of the fact that he gets this flack and he gets insulted and everything for no good reason at all. And I will go and say Nickelback doesn't deserve all of the flack that they get either. But they get this, there's this stigma around him, and we kind of weren't really sure why. Because you know what, he's an honest guy, he's a good guy, he does a ton of stuff for charity, and you know what, hey, his restaurant down here is actually pretty darn good. And it's fun and it's innovative and it doesn't take itself too seriously, and that's what I absolutely love it about that.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I thought that was a really good analogy you made there. And one of the things, when we first got there, I remember you said, "Hey, there's gonna give you an option for you could have 3 tenders or you could have 5 tenders." And it's one of these deals where we decided, and I remember immediately thinking 5, not even a question.
Yeah, right.
You told me, you were like, "Hey, go for 3. I think you're gonna be fine." And that was one of the things that jumped out to me right away was, just 3 tenders. And it was more than enough, especially if you're going for lunch, and afterwards, everything was great. I think, as you said, the sauces were really good and the seasoning was great on the fries as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Then from there, we were in Disney Springs, and we went over and took a little bit of a tour ski of the tour at this time. I have to stop with the skis. My goodness. So we took a tour of the Saratoga Springs Resort, which I was blown away by. I thought this was really cool. We went over and we did a kind of a walking tour of that. Saw a lot of everything that was going on there. They had the like morning time yoga that they were promoting, that you can do yoga literally right out there. Get your day started with the view of Disney Springs right across kind of as sun goes up. And we were able to see the quiet pool over there and just see like how massive Saratoga Springs Resort and Spa is.
Yeah, and even the little that we saw, when we walked across the bridge and down that pathway and everything, that's knowing how big Saratoga Springs is, that you only saw a fraction of it. And when I did my time at Disney Vacation Club, a lot of members didn't want to stay there, thinking, okay, well, it's it's the only resort that ever has availability when I'm going and when I'm looking at reservations. So, if it's the only one that ever has availability, it can't be that good. And that's kind of a misevaluation of it, because it's the one with the most availability because it's the biggest resort. That's why Saratoga Springs and Old Key West and Animal Kingdom are always the last, the ones with the most availability, because they're the biggest resorts. They're just the ones with the most amount of rooms. So that's why they're always available. And, it was always, and, it's a beautiful resort. And a lot of the other thing that people say a lot is, oh, well, you're that close to Disney Springs, so it's probably really loud and everything. And really, it's not. Even when we were there walking in the open, the closest that you could get at Saratoga Springs and still be, watching Disney Springs, we didn't really even hear a whole lot. The loudest we heard was when the boats would drive by, and that's really it. Other than that, it's really peaceful. It's really calm. It's really quiet. And it's just a beautiful resort just to kind of walk around.
I completely agree. I thought it was super zen, and I thought that one of the things that really kind of jumped out to me right off the bat was just how relaxed everybody looked while they were staying there, and just taking that. You're able to take that big walking tour, and it was like almost like a hike, walking trail that you showed me over there. And then they have, I believe, a golf course right there as well.
Yep,
so
there's a golf course.
If I was into golfing, I would, actual golf, I'd be able to do it. But I thought that was a lot of fun. I thought it was cool, and that's definitely on the short list of places that I'd like to stay if ever I'm down there in Disney. And we do have a couple cool videos over there of that to kind of look forward to. And then from there, now we had done a couple things in Disney Springs. Gotta quickly mention how cool it was to go and see the holiday store. What is the Disney holiday store?
I think it might just be called. I think it's called the Christmas store, or something like that.
You're right, the Christmas store. That was great to see, being a Christmas fan and seeing, the immense amount of stuff that they have there available for Disney. And then, of course, I also was able to check out the new World of Disney that has recently opened up since I've been there. The big, huge store, which if you ever go into, I mean, I kind of wrestled with myself internally as to what I was going to buy so hard and so much that I ended up not walking away with anything because it's just so much there. It's like, specifically, they had unveiled a new mug for the Nightmare Before Christmas. I think they have the mayor out there that I saw. That was really cool. And then we made our way away from Disney Springs and went over and did some mini golf on Disney property.
Yeah, we went to Winter Summerland, which is next to the Blizzard Beach water park. We only did one course just because I think we were getting a little bit hungry by that time. So we did a golf course. And what did you think of it?
I loved it. I thought it was so much fun. First off, it's Christmas related. And the amount of effort that goes into each hole is incredible. You have, whether it be you hit something, Mickey Mouse pops out of the igloo, you go into Santa's kind of workshop there, his house, and kind of see everything the way that it's all set up. The snowman is hitting you with some water pistols or something as you sink your hole. That comes pretty much out of nowhere. You hit your ball into the candy cane that brings the ball all the way up, and you have to kind of hit that in there. It was pretty challenging, which was surprising. And B, it was a lot of fun. It was great just to kind of explore and just kind of look around at every single one of the holes. It was cool. And then so basically they had one set up that was all winter, and then they had one set up that was for summer. So you could do two different courses, as Steve mentioned, that are completely different, but themed kind of for what each one of the, you have your Disney theme there, and you have everything going on. And I think it was only, I want to say it was like $15 to do one course. Like, it was not as expensive as you'd think it would be.
Yeah, I really think that the mini golf courses at Disney is one of the hidden gems, if you will. It's very overlooked because I think it's kind of one of those things that a lot of people don't necessarily think about. But mini golf is actually a really big thing in Orlando. And it's kind of funny to me how, it always gets overlooked and you're thinking, oh, well, I'm not going to go to Disney for mini golf. But you're going to mini golf at Disney World, it's going to be there. The attention to detail is going to be there. It's going to be really well thought out and really well themed and everything. And even the summer course, it's a lot of fun to play that too, because you get the snowman melting that was on the other side. It's a sand castle instead of the snow castle and all of that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of detail there, and that's only one of the two courses. And then you have the other course on the other side, the Fantasia Gardens and the miniature golf course. It's mini golf, but it's literally it looks like a full-blown 18-hole golf course that's been shrunk down, complete with sand traps and water features and all that stuff. So I think that one is the toughest of the four different courses.
There you go.
If you thought that Winter Summerland was bad, just wait until you see the other one.
Yeah, that one sounds intense. And one of the things that is cool too is they do have some like pars of like that are a little unrealistic, but I think they cut you off at like 5 holes, which was good for us for some of those, because some of those I couldn't even get on the course. I knocked it out into the next hole like 3 different times. That was really cool.
Absolutely.
And they had a really cool photo op too of being able to sit in the sleigh as you go in there and kind of go from there.
Oh yeah, and of course, and you're gonna one of the good things is that it's laid back. You get to take your time with it. You don't really feel like you're rushed. If it was inside a park, you'd feel like, okay, we got to rush, we got to go. There's going to be more people here. There's 1,000 people in this line. We got to go. But it's really laid back and it's really chill.
Yeah, I thought it was great. Then we did venture off Disney property, but I should give a shout out to Rock and Brews, where we went for dinner. This place is real cool. If you get a chance to check it out, it's right in the Orlando area. It's a part, if I'm not mistaken, of this new Margaritaville that's coming out. Jimmy Buffett, Margaritaville.
It's Margaritaville adjacent. So there's a big Margaritaville resort that's opening up in Kissimmee on Route 192. It's right next to that. If you're from the area, it's right next to the Rolling Oats Target in that shopping center area next to Panera. But yeah, it's a really cool spot, isn't it?
Yeah, I loved it. I thought it was awesome. I thought it was really cool, and it's fun just to kind of look around. There's so much there to look at. So as you're looking around, it's like you're looking up and seeing all these musicians, and we're all taking guesses as to who everyone is. And we even had the waitress there. She got a kick out of the fact that we weren't too sure on some of them, and then she wasn't too sure on some of them. So it was a lot of fun. Definitely highly recommend that place. And I got a flight too, which was a lot of fun, and always good to do that. I was a big beer flight guy. Yeah. So that was pretty much day one. I thought it was super successful there. This led to day two, which we got out. What time did you say? Around 10 o'clock-ish?
Yeah, it's something around that, 10, 11 maybe.
Yeah. And then we went back to Disney Springs the day before. We had gone over to check out the virtual reality exhibition that they have, their experience, so to speak, that they have there. They have Star Wars, they have, and also now Wreck-It Ralph. The nighttime, they had it only for Star Wars. I guess because Star Wars is probably, I don't know if it's more popular or what, but they had a couple different, they only had Star Wars available, which Steve has done. So we went and we did the Wreck-It Ralph attraction, which was available on Monday morning, rather.
Yeah. So the company is called The Void. So you can look them up. I think it's just like, it's The Void Orlando. And I think the website is something like thevoid.com. Yeah, it's just thevoid.com. And it's a really cool virtual reality experience. But just saying it's virtual reality doesn't really do it justice, because there's a lot of hands-on interactive stuff that you play around with too. The Star Wars, so there's two different versions, but I'm pretty going through the Wreck-It Ralph one that we did, I'm like recognizing certain themes and kind of certain settings that they just did the different overlay for, which was cool. It's a cool way of being able to reuse the same space and making it reusable instead of having to build a completely new thing. So like the logistics and behind the scenes stuff that I always love to take a look at, that was really cool to kind of recognize and point out. But what did you think of the experience?
Well, for me, I'll give a little spoiler. So I guess if you guys don't want any spoilers of what you're going to get in this attraction, kind of turn us down just for a little bit. Don't turn us off, but just turn us down just for a little bit. But one of the things I loved about it was the idea that like you are really a part of Wreck-It Ralph's world. They have this set up so well that, I was doing the attraction with Steve, and I look over to my left, and there's an animated version of Steve who fits perfectly in the story with Wreck-It Ralph, and the two of us are in there, and it's competitive, and there's like some different competitions that are going on. At the same time, you really feel like Wreck-It Ralph's right there with you, and you're running after Wreck-It Ralph, and you're moving in and out of different places. And I thought it was really revolutionary. I thought it was great. I mean, the Imagineers and the company that's come up with this have done just an incredible job. And for me, I thought it was worth it. I thought it was great.
Oh, absolutely. And I really liked that, especially when you were in the internet area, part of it, when you're kind of traveling at the beginning, you just look around and there is so much going on around you. You think, oh, it's not going to be detailed or anything like that, but it's super detailed. And there's a lot of different stuff just all around you that I thought was really cool that it really makes you, I mentioned that immersive factor earlier. This is 110% that immersive factor, that you are transported into this world, and it is all around you, and you are in it, and it is just absolutely the coolest thing.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and it was something where the folks that were working it, who was Kellen, was that his name? He said if he was good, give him a shout out. Kellen did a great job helping us out, and did a really, he was there for us the entire time, making sure we were comfortable. If anything didn't work, he was there to test it beforehand. Really, really good stuff. Can't recommend it enough. When I go back with my wife, we're going to try to go and do the Star Wars one, and it's I know you've done that one. Which one would you say you prefer of the two?
I'm honestly, I'm a huge Star Wars fan, but I really liked the Wreck-It Ralph one. I really liked the Ralph Breaks VR. Overall, I liked the concept of it. I liked, I know it was the exact same duration. But this one, it felt a little bit longer for some reason. It felt like, it was a faster pace, but it still felt longer.
Right, and someone who I could tell you, somebody who does struggle with motion sickness and everything, I was fine throughout the entire thing. Like, I really thought it was a real, it was a lot of fun. It was really cool to be in there and to experience that. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah. So what did we do next?
Next, we went back into Disney Springs, and we walked over to Earl of Sandwich. This was another time where my eyes were just, I wanted everything. I was ready to go. I had a big sandwich. I was going to have a sandwich, and I was going to have the mac and cheese, thinking that the mac and cheese was a side dish. Thankfully, Steve was there to say, hey, maybe you go with the recommended combos over there with, a chips or something, because it actually was an entree-sized mac and cheese. And again, I had a really good sandwich over there. Earl of Sandwich is great stuff, and if you ever get a chance, it's a quick service place right there in Disney Springs, and I thought it was. We ate that, and then we were fine till we went and got dinner at like 8 o'clock. So it was really good stuff.
Yeah, and what I like is that, like most of the other stuff at Disney Springs, even though it is technically a third party, it takes the dining plan. So you can go and you can use the dining plan as a quick service meal. You get your entree, so your sandwich. You get either a bag of chips or you get a dessert option, and you get a drink, all for that dining plan credit, that quick service credit. So like most of the places at Disney Springs, it'll do that too. But just figure to throw that out there.
Yeah, no, that's huge. And one of the things I think, didn't you also get a little bit of a discount from your annual pass as well?
Yes, got an annual pass discount. Yep.
Yeah, so that's great, and I think it was a solid discount too. So it's always good when Disney does that, and it's something definitely to consider and to kind of if you're ever over there, I can't recommend it enough.
Yeah.
Then walking around, the aforementioned, we saw the guy on the piano. He was doing his thing. Went over and waited because everyone was waiting for this big, huge thing in front of the Rainforest Cafe. And it was cool, but everyone was really ready for, like, I don't know what they were waiting for, but it was neat enough. We did that. We went over and made our way over to the boat area that goes from Disney Springs and takes you up all the way through Saratoga Springs. So you can see that kind of on your sides there. You can see we got a couple of little shots of the things we spoke about the last time on Disney 101 when we were talking about the little folks that are in that little kind of limousine. What's it called?
The Amphicar.
The Amphicar. There you go. And took it all the way down until we got to Port Orleans French Quarter Resort and Spa, and went there and got to, it was incredible. First off, I got to then for first experience the pool area, which had King Triton, a King Triton inspired character on one of the slides, I'd say. Then everything decked out in Mardi Gras, everyone excited, everyone having fun. And then you kind of walk up and down, you feel like you're right on Bourbon Street. And then we made our way inside and got to try some Mickey beignets along with some Joffrey. I had some Joffrey's coffee.
Yeah, and what did you think of everything?
I thought it was great. I thought the beignets were awesome. It was one of these things where they were made fresh. So I picked them up thinking they were going to be like kind of hard and whatnot, and I almost burnt my hand because it was literally made right there. It was great. And it was just fun to see also everyone, who's clearly staying there, having lunch over there. Everyone's having a good time. And it was a really nice area.
Yeah. And I love that they're, Mickey themed, and I have to give you props because I was worried for a moment. Now, I am a big believer in the fact that anything Mickey shaped, any food that is Mickey shaped, if you don't eat it ears first, I don't trust you. And I'm very happy that you ate everything ears first. So kudos to you.
100%, absolutely. And this is now, it's right up there. I've had the Mickey ice cream. Obviously, the Mickey pretzel is one of my all-time favorites. But the Mickey beignets were right there with it. And yes, you do. You got to eat them ears first before taking it from the bottom there.
Yeah.
And then we made our way back through Disney Springs and decided to do an impromptu pub crawl along the monorail line, which we spoke about a couple weeks ago on Disney 101. So we did that. We went into, I feel like we did a little bit, because you could certainly do a much larger version of the pub crawl if you wanted to. We did an abbreviated version of the pub crawl because we didn't want to get completely wrecked. You certainly could if you wanted to, because each one of the resorts has like 4 different options you can go to. But made our way into the Polynesian and started with was the outdoor terrace of Trader Sam's.
Yeah, we went into the inside Trader Sam's. There just wasn't enough space for the 3 of us. But that's one of the great things, especially if you've been to Trader Sam's before, to go inside, take a look around, always a good first choice. But that second choice, that terrace, is always a great backup plan. You're still getting great drinks, still getting the sassy service, and you get a great view on top of it. So you can't beat it.
Yeah, I agree 100%. It was to be you're out there. You're taking a look down at the pool area is right there. Where you're seated, you can see Space Mountain. You can see the tip of Cinderella's castle. They were getting ready for some Disney trivia, which looked like a lot of fun, and they were starting with some of that. And some of that stuff was, at least for me, was difficult. I think for you probably would have won. But it was one of these things where everyone was really into it and excited about it. And I got another flight there from the Kona bar, which I guess all those beers came from Kona, Hawaii, and were brought down for me from, I guess, because they have the Kona bar that's right upstairs. And you had a...
Well, so Kona is actually the name of one of the sit-down table service restaurants that's in the Polynesian resort. But there's the Kona Brewing Company, which you can go to the store and buy. You can buy Kona Beer just going into the store or whatever. But they have a couple of special ones, and they have that flight. Which is I'm a big fan of Kona myself. So
yeah, that was awesome. Then we got back into went back on the monorail and continued down the line and went to the Grand Floridian Resort and Spa, which was my first time being in that resort. And holy cow, is that a thing of beauty! Pure elegance there. And we walk in, we see the orchestra is there. They're playing some Disney music. There's, everybody is just enjoying their time there. We went and got our hands washed with kind of the salt, which is a complimentary service they offer there in one of the stores, one of the gift shops, and then made our way. And we went over and looked at the menu for Citricos and kind of saw some of that stuff going on there, and then made our way over to one of the bars in one of the lounges over there.
Yeah, and it was the first time actually going to the Grand Floridian for that purpose, to go just kind of to hang out in the lounge. I've gone a couple of times. We've gone once or twice when it's Christmas time to check out the Christmas tree. We've gone to dinner there at 1900 Park Fair a couple of times. This was my first experience really just kind of hanging out in the Grand Floridian, and I have to say it was very, very nice. It's every bit of the Victorian era as you want it to be.
Yeah, it really was. It was one of these things where it was a situation where I thought that they, you're in that realm, and I've seen the pictures, and I've seen the kind of the videos of Cinderella and Prince Charming down, and they're dancing during the Christmas season with the tree behind them, and it just looks incredible. But being there is like you're completely oblivious to the fact that you're even in Disney World at this point. I mean, it's just a sight to be seen, and can't recommend doing that enough. And it's just great that as great of a resort that it is, and that it is so exclusive, anybody can still go in there and hang out and take some photos. And there was clearly a lot of folks who were just there to take photos, take a lot of that in, and also stop for a drink or stop for a meal over there.
Yeah, absolutely. I did feel a little out of place with us walking around in shorts and T-shirts when I saw a few other people dressed a little bit nicer, but they were probably going to dinner and not just, going to the bunch of bars.
I agree. Especially we're sitting down, and I think Grandpa was next to us, and he was very much, very proper, and was sitting next to me. And here I am, and I'm forcing poor Steve and his wife to shoot a video, and I'm doing the whole Tommy on the spot and all that. And so it's but it was fun. It was cool to go there, and I think I had some cider beer there, and it was really good stuff. And this made our way down to the Contemporary Resort. This is a resort that I've wanted to go to for pretty much my entire life, because I've always been going over the monorail, and you pass through the Contemporary on your way over to the Magic Kingdom, or maybe is it Epcot? You're passing it at some point.
You go through it on your way to the Magic Kingdom,
right? And so you go there, and you see. And you can see Chef Mickey running around down there, and he's with all the people. He's having a good time, and it looks like the most fun ever. So it was cool to go there. And but I will say, it was probably of the three resorts the one that I mean I thought it was a little. It reminded me really of like if you were going to be an exclusive club at an airport, which I've been to a couple times. Certainly during my honeymoon, we were in England and we're sitting there and you're having a drink, you're having your stuff, and you look out at the window and it's like instead of seeing the aircraft, you're seeing some of the stuff in motion going for Disney, and they have the beach right there, which is really nice. And so it was really nice, and I believe it was your wife who said this. That was really kind of the OG, the original deluxe resort in Walt Disney World.
Yeah, and I mean, it keeps its name, the contemporary resort. It is very contemporary and modern, which a lot of, airport, clubs try to also emulate. So, it hits what it's aiming for. It's just that what it's aiming for isn't very Disney, I guess. It feels
Right.
like it's the least Disney of all of the hotels, and I think that's actually kind of a reason why people would opt to go to the Grand Floridian or the Polynesian instead of the Contemporary. But as far as convenience goes, you can't beat it because they actually designed it so that you can walk to the Magic Kingdom in the morning and walk and take the monorail back from it at night because it's the closest to the Magic Kingdom as far as walking distance goes, and it is the first stop on the monorail resort line as you're coming from the Magic Kingdom. So as far as convenience goes, you absolutely cannot beat it.
Yeah, that's good stuff. I mean, and especially it was it was cool to see that there were folks that were coming to the Contemporary who weren't going to the parks because they allow you to hang out and specifically prop a squat right against one of the windows there and see the fireworks right there from where you're seated.
Yeah, and I'm sure we could probably also, if we would have stayed at Trader Sam's any longer, if we would have wanted to maybe go a little bit later on in the night or something like that, probably be able to see the fireworks from Trader Sam's as well.
You're right, because it's right by the you could see the castle.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Well, that was a lot of fun. It was really cool to go down there. Just a couple days, but it was fun nonetheless. And it really was, a lot of this stuff we talk about of you can go to Walt Disney World. You don't have to go to the theme parks. It was cool to get out there and to do it and to see that there really is just so much there. And I had an absolute great time. I thank you guys, of course, for the hospitality and for coming down to Delray Beach again to come pick me up after a raucous weekend. So thank you very much for that.
Absolutely, anytime. And I will say the one thing that I'm glad that we kind of saved for next time is being able to bring you over to the Wilderness Lodge, which is one of my favorite resorts. And
Yes.
it's not exactly on the monorail line, so it wasn't included in the abbreviated pub crawl that we did, but it's close enough away where we could definitely incorporate it maybe next time.
Absolutely, and next time as well. Still on my list of things to do is to go down to do the bowling over there.
Yep. That too. Yeah, definitely. So
Yeah.
there's always, even if you spend a whole weekend doing non-theme park stuff, there's always going to be stuff left over for next time.
Absolutely. Big shout out before we get going for the folks who did. I always like to do this here. A couple of our podcast friends out there were able to spread the word about our show today. Check out You Watch, I Listen podcast, the Extra Cheese podcast. Did I say something wrong? EMZT podcast and productions, the Hyperion Adventures podcast, and the Notorious Joke Cast. Thanks so much for spreading the word about Disney 101 today. And for all of our new followers, you can follow us over on Twitter at Disney 101 Pod. And keep it locked in. Make sure you subscribe because even before our next episode, there'll be plenty of videos that I'll be putting up throughout the week from this trip that we're talking about, and also some other archive footage as well.
Yeah, and from Tommy and myself, everybody have a magical week, and you'll see you real soon.